Hello, it's Amy from Softwood Crafting. I'm here in my stamp studio the week of New Year's on Monday. I'm a little sad thinking that this is my last week of winter break, but then we head back to school. We start a whole new fresh semester. But as it is this week, I am sitting in my craft room for our last few days of crafting before we head back into school business. But anyway, I wanted to show you these two cards I used the Fragrant Layers bundle in order to create these two cards. This is a bundle that will be coming out in January as an online exclusive. And so I wanted to make some cards. And if you order from my online shop between January 1st and January 15th, I will send you the pieces, the cardstock, the dies, the embellishments in order to make two of each of these cards. And that is if you spend $50 in my online shop before tax and shipping, but also after using your stamping rewards. But anyway, I would like to go ahead today and show you how to make these cards. And one of the things I did in order to make it go faster, I did pre-cut everything. I cut out the dies, the whole bit, so in order to help make this go along a little faster. All right, so let me put these aside and we'll get started. All right, so we're going to start with the Just a Note card. And let me get those pieces out for you. I don't want to lose anything between making it and getting it going. So here we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a piece of cardstock. This is our base, and it is going to be at 5.5 by 4.25. No, that's the whole thing. The whole card would be 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at the 4.25 mark. So we're going to turn it and do it as a portrait card. And let's go ahead and set that aside until after we create this first layer. Okay, so I have a piece of cardstock that is 4 by 4. And I went ahead and embossed it using the Exposed Brick 3D embossing folder. So it is 4 by 4, so it's a little shorter than what we normally would put as a base, but I kind of like that square look on the front, white on white. And what I did is I have two pieces of Night of Navy, and I embossed them. This is with a retired embossing set of Layered Leaves Dynamics. So if you have like leaves at home, you can use any embossing folder you like in order to create this. And I also have a piece of the Floral Charm Designer Series paper. So we're going to use this center one. This is such pretty paper. It's still available at Stampin' Up! But I cut these three pieces are 1 inch by 3 3/4. And then and the DSP is the same as the two blue pieces. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting these on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my glue, and this paper is directional, so you want to make sure when you put it down on your final card that you have the direction in the right, because ask me how I know when you stick it on upside down. So what I want to do is I want to find the center point to my card, and I'm going to lay it on the grid just so I can see it. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to center this piece of cardstock. Okay, I like to start with the center because you can work off the other two ends pretty easily. But if you start at one end, for me, if I start at the end, I always end up messing up how far apart I want them. All right, so now I'm going to add some glue to the back of my Night of Navy piece. And I'm just going to kind of center it in what's left of the 4x4. Trying to make it even on all the way around. So still a little bit of wiggle room, not much. There we go. And then the same with this piece. Again, I'm just going to put some glue, and then I'm going to center it, lining it up on the edge, top and bottom of the middle piece. And there we go. So I'm going to set this aside because the next thing I want to do is I want to set up my floral image. And because I'm using multicolors, what I did is I went ahead and cut out, using the dies, these two pieces. I used this particular die, and I cut out two of them in order to be able to layer them to get the multicolors. So on the white part, I just want these 3 flowers because I want the buds to come out in this peach pie. And that's what I used for this particular color. I thought it does say, I think it says, what does it say for the orange on here? It says that it's using Timid Tiger. But I thought that when I put Timid Tiger with this paper, I thought it was way too orange. And so I liked how Peach Pie kind of blended in better, because if you notice that this color is not quite as vibrant as Timid Tiger. So I just thought it just worked better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my snips, and I'm just going to cut out and try to keep the shape of the flowers. And I'm going to cut out the buds over on this side as well. And just cutting around. And then cutting back up this way. Okay. And then I did see a piece. This is supposed to be out. All right. And so now what I'm going to do is I am just going to glue these to the top of the peach pie. Just covers it up, but it then leaves the buds exposed as well. So let's go ahead and add some glue to our white flowers. Now you're going to need to be careful. There is a lot of splits in the flower, so the glue can come out through those areas. It can make kind of a smeary mess. So if you want, you could always add it to an adhesive sheet. I just thought if I could be careful with the glue, it should work out pretty well. All right, so now we're just going to kind of like match it up. Lay that on there. And so now we have our white flowers and blue and peach pie buds. All right, so let me grab my Take Your Pick tool, because I found that this was easier if I used that. So what I want to do is I want to put some flowers in these little blue flowers in the center, is kind of like the what would you call them? I'm not a good flower person, but I just put these on there for like the middle pieces of the flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over. I'm going to add some glue on the back of the flower. Try not to use too much because it will smear out. Okay. All right. And so then I'm just going to lay them on the flower. I think these colors are so pretty. And by the way, these flowers I cut out of using Night of Navy. Okay, so now I'm going to do the second piece. This is actually a very simple card, I think, to put together. And going for our last one. And here we go. So now what I would like to do is I'm going to go ahead and just take my pieces. We're going to use dimensionals to pop it up. Okay, and so grab some dimensionals. Oops. Go ahead and put that there. There. Let me cut some pieces so that it fits on the buds a little better. And then one more. I always use the sides. I like to use them as well. Never waste your dimensionals. Okay. They toss those to the trash. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to center this. Okay. So there we go. All right, so what I did is I cut out the leaves from the dies using the dies, and on the die set it does come with 2 of the smaller leaves. They are shaped a little differently, and then you have a 3-leaf sprig. Okay, so I was able to cut these all out of Mossy Meadow, right? And so you can place your leaves wherever you think they will look the best. Okay, that's kind of like a personal taste choice. And so I'm just going to I'm thinking like right here, like where I had them before. Could come, this is a little different because before I had one over here, but I think I like it over here right now. So what I'm going to take is a little bit of glue, and here again, you want to be kind of light on the glue because it will go through the leaves, the little cuts in the leaf, and it will kind of look kind of messy. So let me just kind of slide that up in there, and then I'm going to press down. Do the same thing with this one. Just kind of like put it kind of in the center. And I apologize, my dog Penny is with me in here, so if you start to hear her snoring, that's her. She likes to take a nap in here when I am making cards. So I apologize in advance if she's a little loud. All right, so there we go. So now we have our flower set up, and the last thing we need to do is set up our just a note. And so I like just a note because even if it is just a note, you can use it for just a note to tell you happy birthday. Let me pull out my stamp set. Whoops. Grab just a note. Let me grab a block. Here we go. All right, and so now I'm going to use Night of Navy in order to stamp this piece. So remember, tap, tap, tap. And what I like about the polymer stamps is that you can see where you're stamping to get it on here. And this just fits. So I'm going to hold it down, let the ink transfer, not rocking my block. And just got to pull it up, and there we go, just a note. And again, I'm going to set this up on some dimensionals, but because this is already up on dimensionals, I want to make sure that I just put the dimensional on this side, and I'll use a little bit of glue to hold it here, because if I put another dimensional under here, it's just going to make it kind of lopsided. So let me grab one dimensional. Put it over here. Let me put a little bit of glue over here on this side, kind of get it to put to the flowers. Okay, and so now let me make sure it's straight, because I am like the world's most lopsided viewer. And there we go. I hope that's straight. It looks straight to me, but it's not always all that straight. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our card base, and we're going to go ahead and put this on the card base. Excuse me. Sorry, I have really bad allergies right now. And it seemed like they just started up. Of course, they start the closer we get to school. So it'll be in full swing again by the time school gets going. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lay that on my card front of the card base. And I'm just going to press that down. Always be careful that when you are, oops, I just wanted it to slide and it didn't slide the way I wanted to. It completely detached. But that's okay, because I want to straighten it out a little more. It looked a little crooked to me. Okay, here we go. Okay, now for the inside, what I did is I took my piece, I have a piece of basic white, and it is 5 1/4 by 4. And when I die cut out the flowers for the inside of my things, I had some extras, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my extra flowers from the dies to put in the corners of the inside of my card. And so let me grab my take your pick tool again. I'm going to add some glue to the back, just a light touch. I always say light touch, and then it never comes out as a light touch for me. I'm very heavy-handed. Okay, so I'm going to stick this one up in the corner, and then I'm going to put 2 down in the bottom corner. I kind of like that offsetting. Okay, and so I'll grab that one, put that one there. Oh, I just see what happens when you try to slide. My fingers actually stuck to it. Okay, so and then here. Okay, and now I'm ready to put it to the inside of my card. So let me putting some, I like using, I know I've told y'all this before, I like using the Tombow multi-purpose glue down here where I live. It's very humid, and sometimes the snail doesn't, it will stick, but then after a while the cards kind of come apart, or things I'm making with it come apart. So the green glue for where I live is the best. Okay, so there we go. We have our first card. Oh, the only thing we did not do is we did not add our bling. And so what I'm using is some old retired holiday rhinestones, because I thought that orange, those pieces just look so perfect with this card. So let me grab this piece. Okay. All right, so let me take a large one. I'm going to put that one up here. I'm going to take 2 smaller ones. I'm going to put one right there. And then I'm going to put one over here kind of in the middle with the paper. There we go. So there we have it. We'll have our first card done. All right, so now it is time to move on to the next card, which I think is super cute. We have, again, using the Floral Charm paper. And so let me grab out the pieces and I'll show you what I did. Gosh, now I'm all sniffly. Okay, let me pull out all the pieces to this particular card. I'm afraid. There we go. Again, I used the dies from the Fragrant Floral in order to do it. You can see these are individual flowers. So in the bundle set, I cut out 4 of these, 3 for the outside of the card and 1 for the inside. I cut these out of Berry Burst. Okay. I used this die to cut out these little flowers, and I used basic beige for the inside of the flowers. I cut out leaves using Crumb Cake because I thought it matched the Floral Charm paper. I used the Spotlight on Nature dies to cut out my circle, and I used Bubble Bath for this. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to show you those dies before we got started. All right, so next we're going to start with a piece of Berry Burst, and again, it's the 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. But this time we're going to go landscape to make our card. Okay, and I took a piece of basic beige, and the basic beige is 5 by 3 3/4. So it's 2 down from what we would normally do as a front on the card front for a base. Okay, but I went ahead and embossed it using the Beautiful Patterns embossing folder. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and start by gluing that down. So add some glue. Okay, and I'm going to center this. Sorry if my head gets in the way. I'm trying to see. Okay, so let me go ahead and put that down. All right. I have a piece of the Floral Charm paper, and this is 2 1/4 by 5. It's not 5 1/4. That's wrong. Okay, it is 4 by 2 1/4. So it's 4. I'm like, that didn't seem right because this would have been 5. All right, so we're going this way, and I have it. It's just a little bit larger than the width of the base. Okay, so let me go ahead and add some glue. Okay, and so I'm going to put it just a little bit, so there's just like a little bit of an edge of the basic beige, and I want to make sure that it's even top to bottom. I always say that, and then when I look at it later, it doesn't look quite as even as I thought it was. Okay, so there we go. All right, so before we get started on the circle, I would like to go ahead and stamp it first. So I'm going to grab from the Fragrant Layers stamps, I'm going to grab the hello. I also like hello. It's a great greeting because you can use it for just about anything. Hello, happy birthday, hello, whatever you want. And I'm going to stamp it using Berry Burst. Okay, so I'm going to grab my circle that I cut from the Spotlight on Nature dies, and I'm just going to kind of off center put the word hello. So I'm holding it, not rocking my block, letting the ink transfer. Okay, and there we go. And you can always straighten it out a little bit because it is a circle if you didn't stamp it quite right. And I just stuck my finger in the ink. So give me a second to get the ink off my finger before I do anything else. All right, so there we go. So now what I'm ready to do is I'm ready to put together my flowers. Okay, so let me grab my 3 Berry Burst die cuts. Okay, and I want 3 of the basic beige. Okay. So what I'm going to first do is I am going to figure out where I put my take your pick tool, because I laid it down and now I don't see it. Okay, I wonder if it rolled off somewhere. Oh, that makes me sad because I literally do not see it. And I was just, this is so typical for me that now I've laid something down and I don't know what I did with it. Oh, y'all. Well, of course it'll show up after I do this. This is going to be annoying. I'm checking the floor to see if it rolled off to the floor. I don't see it. I don't see it over here on the side. Goodness. Oh, well, I guess I'm just going to have to do it without your take your pick tool, which is going to end up being messy for me. I just know it. Okay, so adding a little bit of glue to the back of my basic beige little flowers. We're going to put them on there. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy not knowing where my take your pick tool went. All right, here we go. Next one. And then our last one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these up on a dimensional. This is where I really need my take your pick tool to get the backs off these, but I guess we'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. And I don't, okay, there we go. Another thing that constantly happens to me is my die cuts will disappear on me because they'll stick to me and I'll fling them somewhere around the room. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking these backs off. And what I want to do is kind of arrange my flowers. Let's see. I like them to be kind of grouped together, but I wanted them kind of like not too close. There we go. So arrange them how you like them, but we're going to go ahead and go that route. So now I'm going to take my my leaves and let's see. Let me try arranging them first and seeing where I want to put them. Okay, so we can do those. Oh, I like, okay, so we can do that. We can do that, and then down one down here. The bottom, not real wild. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so we're going to go that way. Okay, so let's start with some little bit of glue. And I'm just going to kind of slide that in there. Press it down. Okay. And come over for here at the bottom. I don't know how many of you tried talking and spend your time talking to a camera and not a person. It's not very organic. And so sometimes I'm just not real comfortable with it yet. I was talking about this to some of my colleagues at school that, you know, I'm used to talking to my students, but talking on the camera makes me really nervous. Okay. All right, so I'm going to grab some linen twine. We're going to use that to make our little bow for the front of the card. And my linen twine have a little bit left. I know I have some more somewhere else. I just don't know where it is. Okay, so let me grab this piece. And I'm just going to tie it into a bow. Okay. And it can be a fairly big bow. Okay. And I'm going to grab a glue. Let's use a glue dot. And I want to kind of like roll it up a little bit, just because this is a very thin linen ribbon bow. So I'm just going to roll it up a little bit. And I stick it to the back of my bow. And then I'm just going to place it under the hello. Okay. And we're also going to use the glue dots again. I have, while supplies last, I have some ladybug trinkets that I have bought years ago and kind of never used them for anything. And so we can use them on this card, and I have them for as long as supplies last. And then I'll have to, if anybody buys after that, the first few people, or the first people who buy the card kits with that will get the ladybug trinkets. And after that, you'll get some metallic buttons that look very similar to this. They're just not going to be the ladybug trinkets, because they're a retired item. And so we're just going to put that right there. That's going to be our embellishment. All right, so let me put these away before I knock them over and lose them all. All right, so I'm going to put these up on dimensionals, and it's a pretty big circle. I'm going to use 4 dimensionals. Okay. I really am wondering where my take your pick tool landed, because I just don't see it. All right, so we're going to take it and put it on our card front. All right, so I'm going to make sure my hello, and I'm going to put it halfway on the DSP and halfway onto the, just kind of centering the circle. There we go. All right, so for the inside of our card, I'm going to go ahead and take a flower. We're going to add, again, I had cut out 4, only use 3, so we're going to use this last one to go onto the insert, and it's basic beige again. It's going to be 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. And just glue this down on any corner. I'm going to glue it up in the top corner. I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the top of the leaves. See, this is where my take your pick tool would have been so handy, because I'm getting glue all over my fingers. All right, and so now I'm just going to put it up there. Like it up there. Just because the way I write my notes. All right, and now I'm going to put this on the inside. Again, let's go ahead and there we go. We have our second card. I just think that these cards turned out so cute, and this Fragrant Layers bundle that's going to be available in January as an online exclusive is just gorgeous. I can't wait to make some more cards with it, do some stamping with it. If you go ahead and, like I said, order $50 from my online store between January 1st and January 15th, I will send you the kits to make these cards. I just can't do any of the stamping for you. You can use your own stamps, whatever you have available, but all the other pieces will be there for you in order to make your cards. So I look forward to working with you again. And I hope everyone has a great and blessed new year. Thank you for joining me today.